Steve Delcall from the University of Simon Fraser, second year in the league. A big one at 6'5", 245.
They like him, too. He's a fine-looking boy, and he's some of that great depth that the Argos have that can help them out when they do get some injuries.
Lou Pasaglia, impressive punting average on the night.
Those sounds that we hear are not booing, but these fans customarily calling Lou, Lou, Lou.
No wonder they're yelling for him. Another outstanding kick by Pasaglia. Dan Carinci to the 55 on the return. And he did well. Dave McNeil, another BC newcomer, leading the Lion tacklers that time.
I'm a little surprised they're keeping Carinci in there on that punt return team because he's so important to that football team now that Bob Bronk is out of there. And, you know, he can get shot at in a lot of different directions when he's on that punt return team. And if he goes down, they may be in a lot of trouble.
Argos lead it 11-7, 1:45 to play till halftime. And this is a Toronto first down. Just inside their own zone at the 54 of Toronto. Quickly for Terry Greer. And close to 5 yards. Rick Klassen, number 60 for the Lions, led the tacklers.
Well, when they go with motion to one side, I'm talking about the Argonauts now, we're getting a lot of movement with that entire defensive secondary. We see Terry now trying to come up inside here, but the point I was making is that the defensive secondary are all getting over there on that motion side. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Conridge come back away from that motion and go one-on-one with one of those guys on man coverage, trying to catch it.
Sorry, Leo, already a great night for Terry Greer. 2nd and 5, he has the first down. Kerry Parker covering. Holloway right on the money for his favorite target, Terry Greer.
Holloway just comes back, and he knows that Parker's got Greer over there all by himself. Greer just makes a nice move to the outside, waits for the ball, and gets the first down.
Gain of 14 more yards. That gives Greer 128 on the night.
You better not jump that Greer too tight because he'll go past you before God gets the news.
7 deep backs for the BC Lions facing 1st and 10. Holloway trying to find somebody in the open. Greer is the intended receiver. Touchdown! Terry Greer made it look so easy on that play in front of Nelson Martin and Kerry Parker. Terry Greer.
That's just exactly what I was talking about. While I was talking, he went down that sidelines. As you see Donnie Matthews, the coach of the BC Lions, look away in disgust. But they're giving Conridge too much time here, and he just throws that ball up in the air and says, Terry, go get it. And there he goes.
5th touchdown catch this season for Greer.
And again, Greer does it so effortlessly. I mean, he goes down that field, and it looks like he's loafing, and he's covering about 2 of those white markers on every step.
Well, that's costly for the BC Lions. With 58 seconds to play till halftime. Angelis adds to the total. And the Argos once more into a commanding lead.
A couple things wrong with this play in terms of BC, and number 1 is you can't give Conridge, Holloway, or any other quarterback that much time, and number 2, you better zone in on this guy and make sure that he doesn't get behind you, because he'll just walk right past you, and it's too late. The ball's up in the air, and he's got it. Points are on the board.
Again, a reminder at halftime, we'll go to Toronto for the national news with Peter Mansbridge, and then join Brian Williams for highlights and our CFL halftime show. So stay with us and be back for the second half. It's going to be an outstanding football game here in BC tonight. Larry Jones, Sammy Green drop deep for the BC Lions. Greer on the sidelines. Handshakes all around. Tacklers that time. And the score stands at 18-7 in favor of Toronto.
And I'm sure that the Toronto Argonauts, when he fumbled that ball or went over his head there, I should say, in the end zone, they started thinking about a player earlier in the season when almost the same thing happened over in Hamilton, and he got the thing and got it right down there around the goal line and went all the way. So they're coming in there on balance. You see Del Call come in there, and they're making sure that they're going to get him penned up. This guy gets a little crack in there, it's all over.
Lions pin deep in their own zone. Running wall, big hole up the middle. He'll have the first down. A couple of extra yards to spare. Darrell Nicholson. Tripping up the wall at that time. Now 45 seconds to play till a half. John Pankratz, the intended receiver. Darrell Nicholson very nearly had an interception for the Argos.
And let me tell you one thing, if Nicholson caught that ball, it would have been all over because there was no one between he and the goal line.
One interception has already cost the Lions dearly tonight. William Mitchell picked it off, and the Lions went in to score from there, or the Argos rather.
Now, there is something smart and dumber than a dumb lineman. That's a smart backfield man.
Intended for Donnie Taylor. And big pressure on Roy DeWalt that time by Earl Wilson and Rick Moore.
Matthew Teague was in there too. He's having a great game. Unlike Conridge Holloway, DeWalt doesn't have time to move around and get himself set. The pressure is on him, and you can't throw when you're off balance like that. And that's how you get the interceptions. On a play like that, sometimes it's better off just to take your licking and bring the ball down and get tackled than just to let it go.
Down, Lou Bisaglia. Another pretty good kick away, and that's Carl Breesley for the Argos. Breesley has made his presence felt tonight. Mark DeBreeze, 3 for the Lions to make the tackle. DeBreeze out of Western Ontario was with the Edmonton Eskimos last season. Well, I wonder what Don Matthews will do at halftime. He said he made adjustments last week against the Ottawa Rough Riders, and none of them worked.
Well, they say that Matthews' big claim to fame in terms of his association with his players is that he never says anything negative about them to the press out here, and they certainly appreciate that. So he's kind of a low-key guy and very knowledgeable.
19 seconds till a half. Holloway intending it for Greer once more. It was into the dirt. Using 7 deep backs once more. Andre Jones is in. Glenn Jackson is out. Ralph Sazio, general manager of the Argos. He should be smiling, shouldn't he, Leo?
Ralph doesn't smile too often. He's like Norm Kimball. Speaking of Norm Kimball, they've got a coaching change out there. Good luck to Jackie Parker.
Cedric Minter. Yes, the Eskimos, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Coaching debut of Jackie Parker, the head man of the Edmonton Eskimos. And that's tomorrow.
Just a simple handoff, and this guy can find some daylight. He bobs and weaves and knits and crochets his way through there, and one guy doesn't tackle him, knock him down. They've got to gang tackle that guy.
Another first down, but just 12 seconds remain for the Argos. And the Lions, a little shaken by the last touchdown for the Toronto Argonauts, which puts Toronto into the lead 18-7. Talking about Jackie Parker and his debut as a coach with the Eskimos, a team that he started for many years ago. Jackie has ice water in his veins, doesn't he, Leo? He sunk a lot of long putts in his day. And
Jackie Parker can do it all. If you want to play golf, if you want to play racquetball, if you want to play gin rummy, he can do it all. Norm Kimball said that Jackie Parker is one of the best friends he got.
I'm going to leave that one alone. And it's a first down for the Argonauts. Argos at the BC 52. Holloway out for Carinzi, and Carinzi Heads to the sideline, 6 seconds on the clock. Now, Argo's very close to field goal range.
Heads up by that rookie, too. Knew he had the first down and just headed over there to stop the clock. University of Maryland boy. There's Holloway, fumbles that handoff. Jumps up in the air. Watch that Curry come in there. He put some hurt on him there. Curry's been very active and certainly should get some consideration for the Carling O'Keefe game start.
Should be the last play of the opening half. Hank Olisic from 47 yards away. He missed one from about this distance earlier. And he missed another one off the post. Dead ball. Olisic shaking his head over that one. Something about that 47-yard line. Anyway, the Lions smiling at that miss because it's 18-7 now for the Argos. The Lions will go in and regroup and try and make the second half interesting. I think they'll do it because the Lions have an outstanding defensive team, and that is really what turned things around for BC in that first half.
I think it's a fair assumption that this game is not over yet.
All right, national news upcoming, and we'll be back to BC Place after that.
Mushrooms, Fat Albert, putting on the cheese, Fat Albert, putting on all the trimmings, Fat Albert, if you please. Yeah. 'Cause we're putting it on so fresh and fine, submarines and pizzas of every kind. Fat Albert, Fat Albert, walk away satisfied. Walk away satisfied.
Get back with the pack.
Vic 20 and 2-pack.
Hey, a Vic in a sports bag.
With software. Oh, look, you get a loose leaf binder. Yoo-hoo!
That's a Commodore data set. Remarkable. How about something to write in? Oh, great.
And stuff to write with.
Vic 20 and 2-pack.
Get back with the pack! Commodore Vic 20 and EduPack, less than $300.
It's the annual harvest sale at Fines with savings of 50% and lots of incredible bargains. Tropicals, large and small, and 6 to 14-inch pots are selling at 50% off. There's a great assortment of wicker baskets, all 50% off. Cactus plants for cactus fanciers, 50% off during Fines harvest sale. And now, a timely reminder, bulbs for spring planting are just in from Holland. You can't miss when you pay a visit to Fines Flowers.
Saturday, September 10th. Tonight, pushing the line. Now a Soviet pilot defends his destruction of the Korean airliner. And pouring scorn, Trudeau dismisses a poll that shows most Canadians want him out.
The National with Peter Mansbridge.
Good evening. It's been 10 days since the Soviets shot down that South Korean airliner. 10 days during which the Soviet position has moved from total silence to more and more detailed explanations. Yesterday, they held an unprecedented news conference. This afternoon, they put the pilot who fired the fatal shot on television. Jan Lazowski reports.
There was another unusual scene on Soviet television tonight as the Soviet pilots involved in the shooting down of the Korean airliner 10 days ago made an appearance. This pilot, based on Sakhalin Island, said he was convinced the jumbo jet was either a spy plane or a bomber. He said he couldn't see navigation lights on the jet. His statement contradicts recordings released last week at the United Nations. Those recordings, released by the United States, said Soviet pilots told their ground control that the plane was clearly lit up. This is the Soviet pilot who shot down the airliner. In this Soviet TV interview, he made no mention of trying to contact the aircraft. But he did say he fired tracer shells in front of the plane to warn it. He went on to say that the plane continued to fly on the same course and at the same altitude. And then he said, "I received a precise and definite order to destroy the target." The appearance of the pilots on Soviet television tonight and the news conference by the chief of the Soviet General Staff yesterday are seen here as indications of the seriousness with which Moscow now views the Korean airliner affair. Jan Lozowski, CBC News, Moscow.
As for Ronald Reagan, he still calls the Soviets liars. His Secretary of State, George Shultz, reported today on his meeting with Andrei Gromyko, the Soviet foreign minister. Immediately afterwards, Reagan made his weekly radio address. He said the Soviets would commit any crime to achieve their world goals.
They've stonewalled the world, mobilizing their entire government behind a massive cover-up, then brazenly threatening to kill more men, women, and children should another civilian airliner make the same mistake as KAL-007.
Japanese police have found a second body in the sea near where the Korean airliner went down. It's being examined to see if it is one of the 269 people killed when the plane was destroyed. The mutilated body of a young girl was found on Thursday, but so far she has not been identified. A lot of debris from the downed plane has been identified. 200 items, including clothing and parts of the aircraft, have been recovered. Stephen Frazier of NBC News reports.
The Japanese stepped up the search today. They sent out 14 patrol boats and 8 aircraft. Dozens of fishing boats joined in. On the shores of northern Japan, 1,000 beachcombers. Officials have intensified the search because so many small pieces of debris have been recovered, almost 200 so far, of which several have been declared part of the plane or its contents. Part of a seat, a woman's shoe, an oxygen mask, metal fragments marked with aircraft operating instructions. A portion of the tail painted in Korean Airlines red and white with part of the plane's identification number visible. Relatives of some of the victims joined in the search, which is expected to yield much more tomorrow because of wind and tide conditions. Others, including some Americans, took a boat as close as they could to where the plane is thought to have gone down and dropped flowers into the sea. Stephen Frazier, NBC News, Tokyo.
There are reports tonight of another massacre of civilians in Lebanon. The government reports that 64 residents of a Christian town in the Shuf Mountains were killed by Druze Muslims. The claim is disputed by the Druze. More ominously, 40,000 Christians, many of them refugees, are said to be trapped in the town of Deir el-Kamar, a militia base for Christian Phalange forces. Earlier, the government had reported a massacre at another Christian town, Bandun, but there are no signs of a massacre. The town had been under constant shelling, but the Druze say the only ones killed were Christian Phalange fighters. There's been another night of violence in Santiago, Chile. Dozens of riot police charged into a cemetery. They fired tear gas and clubbed a crowd mourning the death of a victim of this week's anti-government demonstrations. The funeral procession quickly became a political demonstration. More than 10,000 people followed the coffin through Santiago streets. It comes after other violent demonstrations in Chile's capital last night and Thursday night.
We need freedom. We need to be free people like we used to be.
Augusto Pinochet is celebrating his 10th anniversary as president of Chile. But now even some wealthy businessmen who once supported him say he must go.
Really, the problem of Chile today is General Pinochet.
Former South African Prime Minister John Vorster has died in a Cape Town hospital. He was 67. He succeeded the assassinated Hendrik Vervoort as Prime Minister and held the post for 12 years. In 1978, he became the Republic's 4th president, but was forced from office. He was accused of covering up activities of a government department which operated a secret fund for propaganda projects. An unarmed man ran at Pope John Paul as he left a giant rally in Vienna and almost reached him from behind, but security officers wrestled the man to the ground and handcuffed him. They took him into custody without the Pope even being aware anything had happened. Police later described him as a sick Portuguese man who just wanted to get close to the Pope. John Paul is on a 4-day visit to Austria, the first by a Pope in 200 years. Here at home, 2 out of 3 Canadian voters think it's time for a change and want Prime Minister Trudeau to retire. That was the finding of a poll done for the Southern News Organization by Carleton University and released today. It comes just after Trudeau rallied the faithful in Quebec City with a rousing speech saying he was no quitter and dismissing Brian Mulroney's chances of ever becoming Prime Minister. We have 2 reports on the day's political activities. The first from David Halton.
As they arrived for today's session, Liberal ministers either refused to comment on the poll or brushed aside its findings that Prime Minister Trudeau has become a major electoral liability. Energy Minister Jean Chrétien said Trudeau can stay as long as he wants. There's plenty of time to restore Liberal popularity.
Oh, you know, the election is a year and a half from now. So there is a lot of things that can happen between now and the election.
Trudeau, who only last night said he isn't a man who quits in face of battles ahead, also dismissed the poll's conclusion that a large majority of Canadians want him to leave. And he noted that the survey was carried out by the same organization that predicted Joe Clark would do well in the Tory leadership review in January.
And I was told that's the poll that said Joe Clark had no problems, that he'd just sail through.
Will it have any bearing on your decisions?
No.
But whether Trudeau resigns or not, his cabinet colleagues say Liberal fortunes will improve with what they're confident will be a lasting economic recovery. In any event, said Employment Minister John Roberts, the government is more concerned with tackling problems such as unemployment.
Well, we are not looking for gimmicks, for cosmetics that will somehow provide more popularity for the Liberal government. What we are trying to do is find the economic policies which will succeed for Canada.
For the moment, Roberts says no hard conclusions have been reached about what new policies the government will adopt this fall. But the plan is to introduce them in a new speech from the throne soon after Thanksgiving, by which time the Liberals hope the bloom will have started to fade from Brian Mulroney's popularity. David Halton, CBC News, Meech Lake.
Not far away in another part of the Gatineau Hills, the Conservatives are meeting. And within the caucus, at least, the honeymoon with the new leader is still on. The Tories gobbled up every newspaper available this morning and read how the latest public opinion poll has their party and their leader way, way up. And that's enough to keep everyone happy. And while they're pleased to discover 2 out of 3 Canadians want the Prime Minister to resign, many of them are convinced he's staying.
I've always maintained that Mr. Trudeau has no intention of stepping aside.
As for Trudeau saying Robert Stanfield was closer to being Prime Minister than Mulroney is, well, Mulroney finds it silly.
I've always admired Mr. Trudeau's enormous sense of temerity. Here he is, 26 or 27% of the polls, with 2 million people unemployed, a discredited government, a growing number of his own members who want him to leave and are making that point. And here he's making nasty sounds about Bob Stanfield.
Late this afternoon, MPs' wives arrived at the resort. The Mulroneys are hosting a big party tonight. The Tories are saying it's been years since things were peaceful enough to have everyone at a party like that. But not everyone's going to be there. Losing still hurts Joe Clark. He said as much in a weekend interview. He went home tonight. He left the party going to others. Jason Moskowitz, CBC News, Mont-Saint-Marie, Quebec.
And finally, millions of students went back to school this week, but thousands of teachers didn't. There just aren't that many teaching jobs around. Eve Savory reports the situation is especially bad in Alberta.
9 a.m., the first day of school. Mary Baird should be introducing herself to her first class. Instead, Baird, who graduated this spring, works in a hospital laundry and waits for jobs as a substitute teacher.
No matter what you do, you can't do anything. It's just the situation is sort of stagnant. You can't do anything to help yourself get ahead. It's just a wait-and-see game.
This year in Calgary alone, there were 6,000 applicants for fewer than 100 jobs.
I know one girl from my class who's been hired, but that's 1 out of 27 students in my particular class.
Blame the recession. Teachers daren't quit, so there's no turnover. And in Alberta, thousands of people have left the province. It's the worst oversupply of teachers since the Depression.
The main factor that controls the teachers that you need, of course, are the students that you've got. If you haven't got the students, you're not going to need the teachers.
But the teachers keep coming. This year, Alberta's 3 universities have over 5,000 students enrolled in their faculties of education.
Hi, this is Mr. Buck, who's a new teacher at Sir Winston Churchill High School.
In fact, the only way a new teacher like Tom Buck has even a glimmer of a chance is by specializing in one of the few subjects where teachers are still in demand at schools.
I happen to be in a good area. I'm a physics major, and so I think that was very important for me in getting a job.
The recession has thrown all the predictions about jobs for teachers out of whack. But the situation is serious enough that some universities are considering setting limits, quotas on education students. Otherwise, their future could be even bleaker. Eve Savory, CBC News, Calgary.
And that's the National for this Saturday night, the 10th of September. For CBC News, I'm Peter Mansbridge. Good night.
That's our halftime score at BC Place in Vancouver. And highlights are next. You're with CFL football from CBC Television Sports.
We thought we'd outgrown this house until we saw what we'd have to pay for something larger. So we decided to build an addition. And because of the equity we've built up in our home through the years, HFC is helping us with an Equity Plus mortgage loan. We're doing the best we can, and HFC is helping us along the way.
HFC, we're here to help along the way. Black's is bigger.
Black's biggest birthday sale ever is on now.
Black's is better.
And the saving excitement is better than ever.
Black's is more beautiful.
With cameras, lenses, flashes, frames, accessories, hundreds of items on sale right now. You'll want to celebrate the savings during Black's birthday sale.
Black's is photography.
I'm a Myers lease car, eh? My pals, Chevy, Ford, Dodge, and Pontiac are lease cars, too.
Let's not forget us imports, please.
Asshole.
So they know we lease across Canada.
That's right. And we'll build a plan for you, either business or pleasure.
Don't forget us daily rentals at super rates.
Our #1 objective is your complete satisfaction. Our future depends on it.
Halftime continues from BC Place in Vancouver. I'm John Wells with Leo Cahill, and it was the Argos in the first half tonight. Terry Greer and Conrad Holloway, quite a show.
Well, it certainly didn't look like the Argos suffered from that 2 weeks layoff. They controlled that first half of football. I'll tell you, the Conrad Holloway looked like his old self, and it sure helps to be able to run with that football. He pulls the ball down here. Trefo makes a good block for him there. He's still looking downfield for someone to throw to, and then decides to look at that flag in the corner and start over there and try to get in. And you'll see Paul Pearson come along here and make a pretty good block, and he dives into the end zone there and gets in for the score and made it 7-0. He starts back again, looking downfield, and guess who he's looking for as he rolls out to his right. He just lets it go. And Terry Greer has that amazing ability to just run past people. He ran past Nelson Martin and Parker, got the ball. The half finished. It was 18-7.
All right, and that lead is not insurmountable. We'll be back with the second half in a moment.
Across the Strait of Georgia,
Money can't buy everything, but you'll be surprised at what you can rent. Rentalex, the easier way.
Sometimes you can tell a lot about a book by its cover. And for valuable information, you want a cover that can give you the whole story. At Forever Plastics, we've been manufacturing quality covers for more than 20 years for governments, associations, and industry. We custom design binders, folders, briefcases, and portfolios in all shapes, sizes, and colors to suit any specification. Whether it's to catalog your line of products, price lists, or for your next convention or seminar, let Forever Plastics put a cover to your story.
We turned our basement into a family room for two reasons: additional living space and as an investment. With the equity we've built up in our home, we went to HFC and they helped us with an Equity Plus mortgage loan. We're doing the best we can these days, and HFC is helping us along the way.
We're here to help along the way.
Problems with the kickoff at the end of the opening half. Now he's on his feet. An exciting runner, but the miscue was costly. Tony Lawson stopping Sammy Green at the 12-yard line. So the Lions are penned in deep to start the second half. CompuStats from the first 30 minutes of action. And the Argonauts lead in every category. First downs, total yards rushing, passing, net offense at 256 yards. That one turnover for the BC Lions, a very costly one. The Argos went in to score after the interception by William Mitchell.
The BC Lions, John, would really like to do something on this first sequence of plays.
A new quarterback, Leo. That's Joe Paupau. And that was a missed pass. Paupau not anywhere near his closest receiver. There's Paupau's season, 538 yards in total.
Well, that's a tough spot to be put into right starting this second half when they really have to do something in order to get that adrenaline flowing and get them pointed the right direction. Paupau coming in and getting the ball on about the 12-yard line. The first pass was in the dirt. Now he's got to do something.
Second and 10. Paupau has that one batted down. Franklin King, number 61, and Rick Moore. A lot of pressure on Joe Paupau. And the fans at BC Place are not happy.
Well, I think the fans wanted to see DeWalt back in there because I think they feel that if they're going to do anything in this third quarter, that they've got to do it with DeWalt. Paupau's going back, and you see King come in there and go up in the air high and get the hand on the ball, and sometimes those things are deflected right into the hands of the defense. Luckily for the BC Lions, it wasn't on that occasion.
Louis Pasaglia has been kicking a ton all night long. Another beauty back for Braisley at the 42.
I'll tell you one thing, if the BC Lions get back in this ball game, they can thank Louis Pasaglia for his punting.
That time a 56-yard punt by Pasaglia.
You know, oftentimes those kickers don't get the credit that they deserve. And, you know, if he keeps kicking the way he is, John, we're going to have to give him some consideration for that Carling O'Keefe game star, too.
I think you're right. Conrad Holloway is having quite an evening. He likes indoor football in Vancouver.
Conrad likes to rise to the occasion.
He has done that this evening. Pressure on Holloway to the backside. Vancouver. Now, at one point in the first half, Leo, the BC Lion defense came up big and turned things around. This could be another turnaround for them.
Well, another indication coming from the backside. This time, Mac Moore. And Conrad's just at the last moment sees him and ducks down and protects himself a little bit, but Moore got some wood on him. And as I said before, those quarterbacks certainly don't like to get that backside pressure. But if you can get Conridge from the onside to pull the ball down and take some time and then rush from the offside, you can do him a lot of damage.
This to second, and a long 17 for Holloway. More pressure. He's down once more. Rick Klassen. Two big defensive plays for the Lions. First Moore, now Klassen.
Well, they're getting some pretty good pressure from their four, but they've got a lot of people in that secondary, and they're clogging up every avenue of approach as far as those receivers are concerned, and Conridge has nowhere to throw the football, and the rush gets there.
Third down and 20 to go. Hank Olisic straps the helmet on once more. Just got it away. That's Larry Crawford. And Crawford retreats. He lost 7 yards. Steve Aykroyd. Bernie Gleer almost threw the block that one. The score, 18-7 in favor of the Argonauts. We'll be right back.
Somehow you've got to keep it alive, no matter what the cost. But right from the first time you played, you knew you had found your game. And right from the first time you tried OB, we'll bet you'd found your beer.
That's why you just say OB for that great tasting beer. OB, OB, oh yeah. You just say OB.
GMC's economical S15. Our new small truck has some news that's definitely big. The new GMC S15 Club Coupe with extra carrying space inside. Then there's the S15 Long Bed with its roomier cargo box. And the new sports-modded GMC S15 Jimmy, all available with InstaTrack 4-wheel drive and standard V6 power. GMC's S15s, 4 little rigs with a name that says trucks. GMC, trucks are what we're all about.
Tomorrow afternoon on Sports Weekend, same-day coverage of the Italian Grand Prix. That is followed by the men's singles final at the U.S. Open. Then, 1 week from today, water skiing from Manitoba, rowing from Germany, and the equestrian show from Cheltenham, Ontario.
Now, back for a BC Lion first down. The Lions penned in at their 19-yard line. The quarterback, Joe Palpau. And his passing game is on. Teague was through that time, number 79. Don Matthews told us yesterday, no problems interchanging quarterback Joe Palpau and Roy DeWalt. Well, Palpau has had his problem.
I tried to pin him down early in the season. He was alternating his quarterbacks, trying to get them both the ball game, and he indicated yesterday that he'd stay with the guy that was working. Apparently, he didn't think DeWalt was working. Palpau, short of the first down. By 5 at least. Darrell Nicholson pinning Palpau that time. And the natives are a little restless in BC Place. Well, the Argonauts are really prepared in this football game, offensively and defensively. And I think that 2 weeks that they had, they spent it studying this BC team pretty well, because their defense and offense is shutting down just about everything BC is trying to do.
Lou Bisaglia, an impressive average this evening, his longest 58 yards. Jan Carenzi and Carl Braisley deep for the Argos.
The Argos put the return on.
That's Carl Braisley. A return of maybe 7 brought down by Kevin Konar. And Holloway, last-minute instructions from Coach Bob Omilovich on the sidelines.
Now, there's one thing that you have to do in order to win a football game, John, and one thing convincingly is important, and that is that you minimize your errors. And to my knowledge, the Argonauts haven't made any mistakes this ball game. I don't think they've fumbled, or let's get to these statistics, then we'll get back to that.
Well, Warren Moon leading in that department of the Edmonton Eskimos. Conridge Holloway not far behind. J.C. Watts is making an incredible season for himself for the Ottawa Roughriders. This is Cedric Minter on first down. Minter has a couple, no more. Bernie Gleer, number 7. For the Lions.
Cedric Minter. Getting back to what we were talking about, John, I don't think the Argonauts have made a mistake. They haven't thrown any interceptions. They certainly haven't fumbled the football. They've, you know, and as aggressive as they're playing, and as well as they're playing offensively and defensively, and without any mistakes, that's a pretty good combination.
And Holloway has come up with the big plays.
Holloway, when he's hot, boy, he is hot.
This is 2nd and 7. Some pressure. Holloway, a big hit as he unloaded that one. That was James Curry, number 55, threw in Conridge Holloway, and he paid for that one.
The defense once again is rising up as far as BC is concerned. You see Conridge coming over here now, and he's looking, and then everybody is covered, and watch that Curry come in there and put it on him.
Curry underneath, and McNeil on the top.
I guess it was McNeil that made the real hit. Curry made the tackle low, and McNeil finished it off. And Conridge very wisely threw that ball out of bounds.
Hank Lissick. He's been outkicked by Lou Pasaglia by a considerable margin tonight. He nailed that one, though, and it's out of bounds. Mel Bird had no play. Well, for the BC Lions next week, the Montreal Concorde in Montreal. And we'll be on hand for that game as part of a weekend doubleheader. Then it's on to Hamilton where the Argos play the Tiger Cats. It's Hall of Fame weekend in the Steel City. Leo, the Lions have not had field position third quarter at all, have they?
Especially Joe Paopao coming in here cold the second half and expecting to get things going. He's been down in the shadow of his goal line.
And a man, Fernandez, couldn't hang on. Leroy Paul supplying the coverage, number 4 for the Argos. That was as close as Paopao has been to a completion here in the third quarter.
Paopao's a leader, though. I can remember last year one time when he had a knockdown shoulder and shouldn't even have been in the ball game, and DeWalt had a stubbed toe or something like that, and he just said, I'll play, and he got in there and played. He's a leader.
2nd and 10 facing Paopao and the Lions now. He tries the other side of the field. There's a flag down, but Pankratz should have the first down if it's not against the Lions. The referee tonight is Bud Ulrich.
Well, the heads are down on the BC Lions, and that's a pretty good indication that they've got the word that it's against them.
Do not need a penalty. Back now to the 4-yard line for 2nd and 15. Paopao has not had much of a chance with field position.
Offensive pass interference, BC 24.
That's Mervin Fernandez. Tough situation for the Lions now. 2nd and 15. Paopao looking long for Sammy Green. Green might have had it, and he tackled him. Green could not have made the reception.
Well, I don't think he could have reached it, but number 6 was taking no chances on that one right there. Donovan Rose just saw him streak past him and said, I can't afford to let him catch one out in the open all by himself. I've seen what he's done all year long, so he tackled him. But that really improved the field position for the BC Lions, and now they can see their way clear.
Have had to make some offensive adjustments in their backfield. Larry Jones is out. Ryan Potter is in. Potter, number 33. And that's Donnie Taylor, the ball carrier for BC that time. He has maybe 3 yards. William Mitchell on the stop. Lions came into the game without their best running back, John Henry White. Larry Jones was in his spot. Donnie Taylor, number 19, moved to Jones's spot. And now Jones is out.
Stukas, the old football great from the olden days, the CFL made a pretty good comparison. He said John Henry White being out of here was like Germany being out for Edmonton.
That's a first down, BC, and that's Sammy Green. Leroy Paul has Green. Green has been a pretty good story for the BC Lions so far this season. He tried out with 7 professional teams before landing his first full-time job.
Paopao looks to his right, then goes right back to his left and tries to get a one-on-one over there with Green. Green catches the ball. Wilson comes in late and kind of roughs him up a little bit. And Green indicated that he was dissatisfied. He's got to keep his poise now. Big gain for the Lions. Green couldn't hang on, but Leroy Paul would have been gone if he could have squeezed it for the Argonauts. He saw it coming, and actually Joe didn't have enough on that ball. He didn't direct it in there hard enough. He looks to his right and then goes right back to his left, but he didn't throw that ball with that much authority. And watch Leroy Paul. He almost took it clean, and if he did, there's nobody down the sidelines.
Was that tipped at the line of scrimmage, Leo?
It may have been, because it didn't look like it had too much on it.
2nd and 10 Lions now. Pow with time, looking long the ball. Far side, intercepted out of bounds. That's Donovan Rose. The intended receiver was Mervyn Fernandez. And Pow fired that one a long way.
I think the BC Lions are getting a little desperate throwing the ball that deep at this occasion. They stuck with those little short passes and showed the patience. I think they could move the football. Because they've got some receivers out there, Fernandez and that group, that have to get a lot of respect from that defensive secondary, and they can get a lot of first downs on those sideline breaks and those curl patterns.
18-7 is not an insurmountable lead.
At this stage of the ball game, it certainly isn't with that kind of a powerful machine that they have.
Saglia. Jan Carinci lets it bounce. And it's out at the floor. So now, let's see if the BC defense can hold, turn a big play, and get right back into this ball game. They trail by 11. And 7 minutes, 33 seconds remain in quarter number 3.
You look forward to it all week long, and then you get knocked around so much you wonder why you do it. But right from the first time you played, you knew you'd found your game. And right from the first time you tried OV, we'll bet you'd found your beer.
That's why you just say OV for that great tasting beer. OV, OV, oh yeah, you just say OV.
Beyond this barren frontier, there is only ocean. Yet where land ends, an exciting new beginning. Here in the Atlantic, Petro-Canada searches for treasure buried for centuries: energy. Since 1976, Petro-Canada has been involved in every oil and gas discovery off the East Coast. We're finding that treasure, and already it's paying off in jobs, energy, success. Petro-Canada, it's ours.
It's Major League Baseball as the Expos visit Pennsylvania. They're in Philadelphia on Wednesday. Then, on the Saturday, they move into Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh. Major League Baseball, you'll see it right here on CBC.
The Expos in a great run in the National League Eastern Division. We'll follow that on CBC television. And look what's happening at BC Place. The fans are alive here tonight. And have forced Conrad Holloway to call off his play at the line of scrimmage.
Well, this is really distracting down there at that part of the field. And if the fans really do rally, Conrad's going to have an awful time getting those signals. He'll have to go back in the huddle, and he'll have to say, now listen, we're going to go on the first sound. We're going to go on a count that everybody can realize, and we're just going to have to play it safe. The nice thing about the Argos at this stage, they're leading 18-7. They can run, but listen to that crowd react again.
It's Argo first down on the Toronto 4-yard line. It's up to the BC defense here. Greer, the intended receiver. Holloway was off the target.
They run that Carinci to the outside, and he runs right at Parker and tries to get in Parker's way, and Greer comes in underneath, and if they can hit Greer in that seam coming from the outside in underneath, he can turn it up the field and go a long way. Big stand there on Conrad Holloway. No interceptions, you mentioned it a moment ago, but this BC Lion defense leads the entire CFL in interception. Larry Crawford is number 1 with 9 all by himself.
2nd and 10, and Minter has a couple. James Curry was there.
Don't you ever think that this hometown crowd don't mean a lot in a situation like this. That is very unnerving for the offensive team to be down there and not be able to hear the signals being called, especially in the shadow of their goal line. And now is where Olisic is going to have to earn his bread and butter, because he's kicking right out of the end zone. And the BC Lions have a real good chance now for field position and possibly to get back in this ball game.
Bird and Crawford are back to accept the punt from this man, Hank Olisic. He's been outkicked by Lou Pasaglia all night long. But Olisic has a very, very impressive average on the season. And if he sails one here, not a great one. Lion receivers move up. It's Crawford. Crawford, a bit of a break. Still going. Crawford to the 30-yard line. Look at the field position. A flag now goes down.
Boy, that was a late flag.
Crawford is still down. You see a good block by Mel Bird on the replay coming up. Crawford is now up and off the field. Bird is number 10.
It looks like they're going to walk it off against the Argos.
You've got to give the fans of the BC Lions a lot of credit for that field position.
We sure do. I don't know that it's a
Major foul.
or not. I don't know you should do things like that. It's almost
Number 35
to do it.
First down.
But every hometown crowd exercises this prerogative. The Argo fans better remember this themselves.
A major foul tacked onto a short punt and a great return by Crawford. The Lions, first down at the 15. Another flag is down. That's Jones. He's back in the game. Jones, his score. Larry Jones. Now, that flag went down very early, Leo, so I would think the indication there would be against the Argos. Wait a minute.
Well, he started to give the indication against the Argonauts, and now he give it against the BC Lions, and now he's giving it against the Argonauts, and the touchdown is going to stand.
No doubt about it. What a turnaround. Now the Lions are still trailing in this football game.
Touchdown.
The touchdown stand. You heard it from Bud Ulrich. Jones is wide open on this one. Fantastic play. They had the whole,
looked like the whole offensive line out there in front of him, and that's the way it's drawn up on the board, and he just took it right into the end zone.
Pasaglia adds to the BC Lion total. 52,656 on hand at BC Place. And lots more football action ahead for everyone.
You've got about 5 square yards of real estate to cover, and sometimes it feels like 5 square miles. But right from the first time you played, you knew you'd found your game. And right from the first time you tried OB, we'll bet you'd found your beer.
That's why you just say OB for that great tasting beer. OB, OB, oh yeah, just say OB.
Kodak presents a breakthrough in color photography for the best color pictures ever from Kodak. A film for detailed color. A film for vibrant color. A film for fast action color. Even a film for low light color. New Kodacolor VR, 100, 200, 400, 1,000 speed films.
Next Saturday, the BC Lions travel east to meet the Concorde at Montreal's Olympic Stadium. Then Sunday, the Argonauts travel to Iverwin Stadium in Hamilton, trying to get revenge for an earlier loss this year. The game Saturday, 1:30. Also 1:30 for the game Sunday.
Larry Jones has a perfect night going for the BC Lions. 1 catch for 15 yards and 1 touchdown. He has the Lions within 4 points of the Argonauts. That's Carl Brazier on the kickoff. He bobbled it. He's motoring down. Lions special teams, good job, but a flag goes down. Ryan Potter led the tacklers. There's a flag down.
We're going to get a look at this touchdown. He stops back and he just gets the ball out to Jones there. You'll see a whole convoy in front of him. He just follows all those orange shirts and goes right into the end zone.
Untouched. Larry Jones. A flag down on the kickoff return, and it goes against the Argos once more.
John, they're putting them down in the hole again.
Toronto 54.
Tony Antunovic got caught that time.
They're putting him down in the shadow of their goal line again, and if this crowd responds the same way, Conridge is under a great handicap to try to get the signal called.
You see that attendance there, Leo? BC Place.
Well, they're tasting blood, and they know what they're doing to this Conridge down here. Conridge in trouble. Well short of the first down.
Glenn Jackson there once more. BC Place has meant a great deal to the Lions this season. Attendance is up. Over 18,000 fans per game.
Well, I'm just getting a little sneak preview here, a little indication of why they're so difficult to beat at home. Well, I'll tell you one thing, as a quarterback and as an entire football team, that's unnerving. Third quarter has belonged to the BC Lions. There they go again. There's only one way to quiet them, and that's for Conridge to come with a big play.
Paul Pearson has a first down. That gets the Argos out of big trouble. JoJo Heath covering on Pearson. A flag is down, so is Holloway. And the indication is against the BC Lions.
And that was the guy that Conridge went to right there, Pearson, has made so many big plays in the course of the last couple of years. And add insult to injury on this play here. After Conridge had thrown the ball, you'll see the official call in here. There was roughing on the passer. They came in late.
Major foul. Roughing the passer, number 37, BC.
That's Jackson coming in there late and roughing the passer. You'll see Jackson coming from the outside here. He shoves a couple of blockers there. And he comes in.
First down at their own 38-yard line. Holloway looking for Terry Greer down the right side. Greer, off his fingertips. Greer was in behind Terry Parker once more.
That was about as well thrown as you could throw it. That almost had radar on it. When he threw the ball, I didn't think there was any way that Terry Greer was going to get under it. He not only got under it, he got both hands on it.
Well, welcome to everyone who's with us tonight. We hope you're enjoying our doubleheader CFL football action. Montreal Concord earlier this evening, and now the Lions and the Argonauts still in a struggle.
He got some hands on it there, and he beat Parker. And Parker must be a little shell-shocked at this time, too, because he's out there with Greer all by himself again.
2nd and 10. That's Cedric Minter. Plenty for the first down. Minter has close to 20 yards. He might have tripped over that yard marker.
Well, there's only one way to quiet down a very noisy audience, and that's to come up with a couple big plays like this. Conridge just took that ball and went out to his right, and Minter sneaked in there behind the line of scrimmage.
They marked Minter for a gain of 19 on that.
That's Mac Moore throwing about 255 or 60 pounds on top of Holloway.
Melvin Bird, 10, goes to the sidelines. Andre Jones, 32, comes in. Bird just needs equipment repair. There you see the Argonaut offense. Very sharp tonight.
I'll tell you what Paul did there, and I love Paul Pearson, and I love the way he catches the ball, and I love the big plays he makes. But he made the unforgivable error that time of reaching before he got under the ball, and he slowed himself down, and had he ran under that ball, I think he could have got to it.
Holloway in the evening, 15 completions and 29 tries, 245 yards. 2nd down and 10, facing the Argos now. Inside BC territory, but just at the 52. Holloway for Terry Greer. Greer, great speed. He's to the outside. He's gone.
He's gone, baby. He's gone all the way.
Touchdown. Terry Greer is second of the night. Mike Havelock, 44. And Dan Perron, 2 great blocks on the play. And that worked very effectively.
Well, I'll tell you, when we're talking about the after effects of this game, if the Argos do go on and win it, it'll have to be Conridge Holloway's generalship under very adverse conditions with all kind of crowd noise as you see him turn back and hit Terry Greer, and there goes Havelock to the outside there, and another good block thrown there, I think, by Ferrone. When you get that guy an opening and a seam, here it is again. Good catch by him right there. Havelock goes out, makes the block. It's difficult to see who made that great block right there. May have been Pearson even, but he goes right down the sidelines, just outruns everybody. He's looking back saying, you're never going to catch me, and they all know it.
A 52-yard touchdown for Terry Greer, his second on the evening. And look at the evening he's had. 217 yards.
Well, John, the mark of a great football team is a team that can meet adversity, you know, with a lead like they had, and then have things turn around, meet adversity, and come from the shadow of their goal line under adverse conditions of crowd noise and do what they've just done. That's a mark of a good football team.
Angelisic hopes to add one more. Jan Carinci holding. Easily through. So the Toronto Argonauts move up in front of the BC Lions, 25-14.
Havelock is out there making a good block there and opening the seam. And there's Ferrone coming down, number 69, making the cruncher right there. And it opens that seam for Terry, and Terry just busts it right down the sidelines for the score. 2 good blocks, Havelock and Ferrone.
The BC Lions have had to catch up all night long. Argos scored on their first offensive drive. Now the Lions have 3 deep backs, Jones, Green, and Crawford, to accept the kickoff from Angelisic.
Oh, I like this game. These are just 2 good football teams going after each other like there's no tomorrow, and they're both trying to prove who's number 1 in Canada.
Coming into the game, both teams at 6-2. Angelisic really booms this one. Green back deep in the end zone, and it's off the post.
Is having some problem hitting the post tonight.
He missed a field goal that way.
Well, would you see the strength of that kid's leg? He just goes up there and just attacks that ball.
And the Lions will have a first down at the 25.
He puts a toe to it. There it goes down and hits the post. Cuts down on the run back. Well, I'll tell you the odds on that. I wonder what Vegas would give you on odds.
Terry Greer. Look at his dominance in Canadian football among the top receivers this year. Donnie Taylor to the line of scrimmage and no more. Brazeley was over there. Bob Obilovich. You talked about him being relaxed. As we chatted yesterday, he certainly was. Had lots of time to sit around and talk about CFL past and present.
OB must have known something. Must have had a little bit of a transmission with the Almighty.
Second down and 8 to go for the Lions. Powell remains the quarterback. It's tipped as he tries to release. Rick Moore, 76, was through once more. And Lion fans a little disenchanted with Powell once more, even though he did lead them to that touchdown.
Powell looks like he's got a lot of time, but he draws it back too far. And look at 76. Moore come in there, and on the follow-through of the pass, Moore got a hold of that throwing arm, and the ball went up in the air.
So the pressure to Lou Pasaglia. The Lions once more. Stands it as well. Moore was almost through to block that one. This is James Moore Good return for Carinci. Sagli a little shorter that time for a 38-yard punt.
Jan Carinci has done a great job. Everybody knew how much they were going to miss that blocking of Bob Brock. But a lot of people don't understand that Carinci is a pretty good blocker in his own right. He was a wide receiver and in a slot back down at the University of Maryland, and he was known for coming back on those crackback blocks and doing some damage.
Argos have a first down at the BC Lion 50. Lion defense has come up with big plays all night. They forced Holloway to unload that one early. 3 or 4 Lions all around Conridge that time, and the leader there was Rick Klassen. Joe Powpow wondering what he can do to get the Lions back into this. They trail 25-14. Don Matthews in the sidelines. At one stage of the season, he had the Lions with 5 straight wins after an opening season loss 17-14 to the Argos in Toronto. 2nd and 10. Holloway away from the pressure. No. The BC Lions have the ball. Who's got the ball? The BC Lions have the ball. Defense for the BC Lions, a big story all night long. Conridge never saw him coming from the back, and he just knocked the ball loose and recovered it himself. He actually took it out of Conridge's hand. He just pulled his arms wide open and then grabbed the ball. Now, the fans alive once more at BC Place. Let me tell you, this is a great place to watch a football game. That's Larry Jones. Good maneuver by Jones to gain 5 yards because he was stopped at one stage, or at least penned in. Boy, that ball was thrown in danger out there, too. There was a lot of white shirts in that vicinity. Second down and 7 to go. They mark the ball at the BC 50. Joe Powpow. Stopped just short of the first down by Darrell Nicholson. Well, they're going to go for it. You can bet on that because there's only about maybe a foot to go for a first down here. I can't help but think, John, in a football game like this, that a running game is important. The Argos are just pitting their ears back and flying in there to try to get after that passer, and they're setting themselves up for traps, draws, and everything else. If you haven't got a running game to compensate for that, you can be in trouble. The sidelines, and the big horses are in for the Lions on short yardage situation here. Less than a yard to go for the Lions. Only one play in the book right here, and that's the quarterback sneak. Just 17 seconds to play till three-quarter time. The Argos in front, 25-14. Big offensive series or play right here for the Lions. We got it. No doubt about it. No flags are down. Can't take a chance on an exchange of the ball from person to person on a short yardage play like that. You lessen your percentages. Take the direct snap and follow those big horses with that foot. That's what they did. Don Matthews in his first full season as a head coach in Canadian football. And he's made a difference to these BC Lions. There's no question about that. Fans, 52,000 strong tonight. Should be the final play, third quarter. Powpow. The intended receiver was John Pankratz. Powpow went down, passed slightly high. Carl Braisley covered on Pankratz that time. So it'll be 2nd and 10 for the Lions when the fourth quarter begins in just a moment from now. Here with CFL football from CBC Television Sports.
Sunday, October 2nd. It's the Miller High Life Toronto Marathon. Be part of the action.
Witness a field of world-class runners as they push to the limit for $150,000 in prize money. Feel the anticipation right from the start at Queen's Park through to the thrill of victory at Varsity Stadium. Sunday, October 2nd. The Miller High Life Toronto Marathon. Be there.
Oh, there's nothing like an early morning shower. It leaves everything so clean and fresh. Just like a shower with my Irish Spring, with springtime freshness in every bar. In these green and white stripes are 2 deodorants to leave you feeling clean and fresh a long, long time. Irish Spring. Now that's my kind of soap.
And we like it too.
Irish Spring leaves you feeling clean and fresh a long, long time.
BC Place. I'm John Wells with Leo Cahill. It's been a great evening of football so far, and we've got 1 quarter to go. The Argonauts out in front in just about every department, but the BC Lions won't lie down. For the Lions, it's 2nd down and 10 to go, just inside Toronto territory at the 53.
And he doesn't drop very many of them. That was critical.
Powell was on the money, and Fernandez simply couldn't squeeze it. It would have meant a 1st down.
He just goes back, and you'll see Fernandez come across, and there was no reason. I think he took his eye off the ball at the last moment, thinking about where he was going to turn upfield and try to get more yardage instead of being sure that he had that 1st down and catching it.
Anglia near his 45-yard line. Johnny Taylor takes the direct snap. Taylor has the 1st down.
I don't know whether he does or not. It's going to be close.
I think he does, Leo.
It's going to be awful close.
Darrell Wilson, 3rd down gamble for the BC Lions, and I think Taylor has the 1st down.
I'm going to bet that he doesn't, John.
We got a nickel riding on this one.
A great gamble for them to take, and if they make it, it'll be a sensational play, but it looks almost short, and we'll see right here.
Rick Moore had a chance to stop Taylor. He'll win, but not by very much, Leo. The Lions lose that one.
The direct snap to Taylor, and he bumped into somebody that impeded his progress and slowed him down a little bit, and then when he did get going, he was just about a half a foot short.
Gamble fails for the BC Lions.
Gutsy call. Yeah, I like to see that. I like to see somebody go after it. Their defense is still playing pretty well.
Holloway quickly for Townsend. Townsend shakes one blocker. Got away from Glenn Jackson. Jackson had him cold and let him slip through.
Mac Moore had a hold of him, too.
They mark it a gain of 5.
Pretty good move for Townsend.
2nd and 5, Argo. Holloway looks long. 2 receivers upfield, Minter and Greer. He put it between them.
I'll tell you, Jeff Townsend doesn't look out of place out there at that wide receiver, a Canadian boy that had his training at Boston College. He makes some pretty good moves after he catches that football.
3rd and 5. Hank Olitzik. And he needs a big kick. Olitzik at his 34.
The return is on.
Lisick puts it out of bounds. Not quite as deeply as he wanted to, however. So the Lions will have reasonable field position when we return to their first down. They trail 25-14.
Still a lot of time. 12 minutes and 47 seconds left. The crowd still feeling that their BC Lions can come back.
Hey, Canada.
Welcome to Miller time. Now brewed here, it's yours and mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Canada, welcome to Miller time, yours and mine.
Miller High Life, now available at regular beer prices. Canada, welcome to Miller time.
Chevrolet's taking charge. Taking charge of driving excitement with the all-new value-packed Chevy Cavalier TBI. With new computer-controlled throttle body fuel injection, responsive new 2-liter engine, and Cavalier's new positive 5-speed transmission. Cavalier TBI, a special edition for Canada. Driving excitement at a Chevrolet price. Chevrolet, taking charge.
The BC Lions are the story right at this moment. From the 31-yard line, the Lions are first down.
I'll tell you, the crowd's not doing the BC Lions any favors here by making all that noise.
Foul over the middle. Taylor has it, but he has no yardage, or at least no substantial yardage. Don Moen making the tackle.
Don Moen had him all the way. Watched him come out of the backfield and got right on top of him when he caught the ball, was right there to make the tackle.
They mark it as a gain of 1, Leo, 2nd and 9. Foul. Good on 5 of 14 from 34 yards. Batted down. And that's about the 3rd pass that's been batted down at the line of scrimmage, at least the 2nd of the night for Franklin King. Defense takes its turn in the spotlight. Big series of plays, and King has had an outstanding night.
There goes the Argos with the pressure right there, and you see King, 61, just sticking his hand up there. When that quarterback goes back to throw that ball, especially from tackle to tackle, they've got to open up those lanes for him so he can see down the field. At the last minute, King just jumped up in the air and put a hand on it.
Basaglia for Garinci. 40. Flag. Kevin Kodak made the tackle. Now that would indicate where that flag fell that it is against the Argonauts. 25-14 for the Argos, leading the BC Lions. 11:39 to play. 4th quarter. The Lions will certainly take this penalty.
Bob Paulsick, the offensive line coach from the Argos, not too happy about Elster on that play. Went halfway out on the field to tell him, what are you doing at this stage of the game?
35, first down.
It was Gordon Elster, as you said.
There you see 35 making the clip at the top of the screen there. Too many mistakes. That was a mistake.
Holloway for Terry Greer. He has the football. Was he in bounds? Yes, they say Greer was in.
Well, he had to be in bounds because he was right in front of that BC bench right there with all the players there, and there's not too much protestation. Terry goes right down the sidelines, and Conridge just throws it right over the top of the coverage, and you'll see that right foot come down.
Parker doing a pretty good job of covering Greer on that play. And he still made the catch.
Now, the thing about Greer, if it's even, and you're on him one-on-one, he'll jump up and take it away from him because he's got great springing ability.
A 22-yard gain. Holloway well back. And nowhere that time for Emmanuel Tolbert. James Curry at Tolbert. Bernie Glier was also there.
Right now by James Curry.
That's Tolbert's first catch of the night, and he lost 2 yards. Ralph is still not smiling. We speak of Ralph Sazio, general manager of the Argonauts. Ralph's not going to smile until he knows that game is over and the Argonauts have won the football game. 10:30 left in this ball game right now. The BC Lions need desperately to get it back. Pressure on Holloway. Not more. Holloway got it away somehow. Oh! Almost intercepted by JoJo Heath. Holloway might well have held on to that football, Leo. Threw into a bunch of traffic. That was not very good judgment by Holloway as he goes back here. He's got plenty of time to throw the ball initially, but Mac Moore comes from the outside there, and he steps up inside away from danger, and then throws it over there, and I think he may have wished he held that ball and not thrown that one. JoJo Heath would have loved to have picked that one off and ran it back against his old teammates. JoJo has been waiting to play the Argos since July the 14th. Are playing tonight. I don't know why anybody would want to play against them. Well, as a former Argo, JoJo is taking a little extra pride in this one. Crawford with no room. Steve Ackroyd led the downfield tackling for the Argos. 9 minutes and 49 seconds left to go. The Argos in front 25-14. And you're with CFL football, CBC.
Hey, Canada.
Welcome to Miller time.
Now brewed here, it's yours and mine.
Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Canada, welcome to Miller time, yours and mine.
Miller High Life, now available at regular beer prices. Canada, welcome to Miller time.
This is the M1, England's busiest motorway. The M1 has the highest accident rate in all of Britain. But here's an amazing fact. There's an automobile tire used on the M1 that provides such extra safety, a car insurance company actually offers lower premiums to people who use them. What kind of tires? Goodyear. We want you to have the best radial tires in the world.
We thank BC football fans for that little message, and yes, we do feel quite at home under the dome. This is a magnificent football facility, and I think it's going to be great for Grey Cup 1983. Roy DeWalt is back in at quarterback. First down, Lions, near their own 20-yard line. DeWalt missed the third quarter. He's back into the fourth and has the first down on his very first pass. Complete to Sammy Green. And that, a very big play for the Lions offensively. They trail by 11. I think this is a good move by Donnie Matthews, getting DeWalt in. He's so mobile right now, and that Argo defensive line may be getting a little tired. But he maneuvered himself on a rollout there, stopped Green on the sidelines, and got the completion. First down. Lions now near the 40-yard line at the 37. This is Larry Jones, and Jones, good move to get through. He has a first down. Jones spinning that time. He was off balance by the time Matthew Teague caught up to him. And Don Matthews on the sidelines is helping the officials along to move those yardsticks. DeWalt started a rollout. You'll see this time to his right and just handed back on a misdirection play. And the tackle pulled. You see Big Blaine pull out there and make a block, and Jones just stumbles for the first down. Some pressure for DeWalt now from Rick Moore. DeWalt scampers for close to 5 yards. He's out at the 54. 8:21 to play, fourth quarter from BC Place. The Argos 25, the Lions 14. This program is copyrighted and strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. Well, Leo, this is 2nd and 6 facing 6 yards. Leroy Paul was covering on Chatelaine. Maybe the biggest catch of that young man's career. He caught the ball and got out of bounds, and it's important now to save that clock as much as possible. 7:58, 2 seconds short of 8 minutes. 8 minutes, and the clock is moving again. Lions first down at the Argo 44. A bootleg action right there, and he looks downfield and gets it in there, this time to Fernandez. And Fernandez is still going. Now they rule him out of bounds, I guess, or stop. You know, Don Matthews takes Pow out. DeWalt watches from the sidelines. DeWalt comes back with a hot hand. You see it here. And you see that bootleg action that DeWalt does so good. He fakes the running play to the right, comes back to the left on the bootleg, and watch the moves here made by Fernandez. And Fernandez has got one thing in mind, making up for dropping that pass earlier in this quarter. A 22-yard pickup, and that's where the Lions are at the Argo 22 with a first down. DeWalt takes it himself. Still going. DeWalt down to the 10. He'll have a first down. Don Moen 36 and Steve Aykroyd 26 finally put the stop on Roy DeWalt. Bilovich, the Argo coaches, thought that the ball came loose before he went down, but watch him dangle here, go in there and follow some blocking, and then break away from a couple of tacklers. And now we'll see if the ball comes. No, he was down before that ball came loose. It was a good call by the officials. At the 10-yard line, the Lions are first down and goal to go. They trail by 11. To the end zone, Fernandez, the intended receiver. Leroy Paul was covering. Fernandez almost made a miracle catch. Boy, that's that pass that they like to throw when they get down in there inside the 15-yard line. Just lay it up in the air and let that speed run under it. And that's what he did on that one right there. He goes down and he turns to the outside. He knows that ball's coming, and he turns on the jets right there. And I can't see whether he got one hand on it. Paul may have touched it. I'm not sure. If they score right here, we can have another one like last night. Wasn't that a minute? The Saskatchewan Roughriders came through with a fantastic win and just a heartbreaker for George Brancato and the Ottawa Roughriders. Joe Galata winner tonight over Winnipeg. They're short of the goal line and a flag down. And it's holding against the BC Lions. I think it's going to be holding, Leo, against the Lions. They may not take this penalty. They may decide that they want that down a lot worse. Now I see Obilovich down on the sideline says take the penalty. Not sure about that. So that'll make it second and goal to go from the 20.
Holding, BC 51, second down repeated.
They would have had third down on the 5-yard line, still 5 yards to go. Well, another big play facing the Lion offense. Second and goal to go from the 20. Standing in there and fired it well away from any intended receiver as he went down in the grasp of Don Moen that time. Quarterbacks have had a tough night. Conrad has been down several times and hit heavily. So has Roy DeWalt. Now it's another bootleg action here. DeWalt stops up in a hurry because of the penetration. There's just no way that he could get the ball off. There was too many white shirts there, and there was good coverage down the field. It was lucky he wasn't intercepted. Don Matthews is going for it. I wonder about this. Now, a field goal would make it 25-17, where a two-point conversion could tie the ball game. This is a big gamble, I think, on Donnie's part. Third and goal to go from the 20. He has Green comes up 12 yards short. I'll have to question that one. Heartbreak for the BC Lions, who get close but can't come up with a score. They turn it over. We'll be back for the Argo first down right after this.
Carlsberg Light, all right. People here say it's one good beer. Carlsberg Light, all right. Cold as ice, it's one real good beer. Crack a cold one and you'll see why it's got that great light taste for me. Carlsberg Light, all right. Raise a cheer for good beer.
You're the Canada in Petro-Canada. You own the place. You're the Canada in Petro-Canada. You're that smiling face. You're the one we're fresh and bright for. That special friend we do it right for. You're the reason we're good at pleasing. You are Petro-Canada. Round the corner most every day, we'll help you on your way. You are Petro-Canada. We're working for you.
Petro-Canada. It's ours.
Next weekend, 2 games from CBC Television Sports. The Lions at Montreal on Saturday night. Then on Sunday, we move to Hamilton. Hall of Fame weekend. The Argos and the Hamilton Tiger Cats at Iverwin Stadium. And going into the Hall of Fame this time around, Earl Lunsford, Bud Grant, Frank Morris, and Herb Grant. 5 minutes even left in the fourth quarter. First down, Argos. Cedric Minter, flag is down.
Well, there's all kind of flags down. You know, it's easy to sit up here. Wait, we'll get a call here by the officials. But there's about 3 flags thrown there, so it could be one of 2 or 3 things. Referee tonight is Bud Ulrich. And he's seen a lot of action. He's had a lot of airtime.
Offside, number 30, Toronto, decline, second down.
The Argos were offside, but BC declined, making it 2nd and 10. Getting back to that 3rd and 20. Now, if they would have got that 3 points, it's easy to sit up here and second guess, but if they got that 3 points, it would be within a 2-point conversion of a tie, and this way they got nothing out of it. You gotta wonder whether they made the right decision there. It doesn't work. It likely wasn't the right decision. Cedric Minter will not have enough for the first down. Well, when you get down in that part of the field, John, and you only got 10 yards to go or less than 10 yards to go, you might take a chance on 3rd down. But when you've got 20 yards to go down there and you've got a chance in close enough to get 3 sure points for a field goal that will put you within an 8-point conversion, or I mean, an 8-point touchdown of a tie, you got to take that, I would think. Well, the Lions definitely need touchdowns to get back into this game, but even if you got down there twice, came away with 2 field goals, you've still got a chance. That's right. For a touchdown, because there's lots of time remaining. 4:25 on the clock as of this moment. Now they're going to have to do something immediately if they're going to get back in this ball game. Hank Kalisic deep in his own zone. They're coming after this one. Clausen, almost through. You know, I don't understand. Clausen twice now has been very, very close to blocking a punt. As you see Crawford return that. But they had speed on the outside earlier in the ball game on that, trying to block that kick, and they took it off and put Clausen there. And I'm not saying Clausen is slow, but they've got a lot of people on that football team that are faster than him, and he's come within just a hairbreadth of blocking it. So they should have had somebody faster out there. Score clock reads 4:02 here at BC Place. And it's running down on Roy DeWalt and the BC Lion offense. Now the pressure comes for DeWalt. He's away from it initially. Fernandez makes the catch and gets the first down, or very close to it. Carl Brazeley, good effort by Fernandez after the catch, because Brazeley was right with him. Good effort by Fernandez and a good heads-up job by DeWalt. DeWalt's got a lot of pressure on him here as he looks back to the left looking for an individual shot. There's nobody there. And look at those 3 white shirts bearing down on him. And he throws it on the run and gets it to Fernandez, who makes a nice move here and good enough on Brazeley to get the first down. DeWalt tries to
the far side for Chapdelaine. Covering on the play, Leroy Paul. 3:24 on the clock now. The Argos in control of an 11-point lead. And, of course, we're in the fourth quarter. Next weekend, the Argos in Hamilton, and the Lions are in Montreal. Big win for the Concord tonight over the Blue Bombers. Joe Gallant reached finally. It's been a long time between wins for him. They can be tough by season's end. Flag is down, and so is Roy DeWalt. Just about everyone was in on that tackle. So there's a timeout on the field. 3 minutes remain from BC Place in Vancouver. CFL football from CBC Television Sports continues.
Carlsberg Light. All right. People here say it's one good beer. Carlsberg Light. All right. Cold as ice. It's one real good beer. Crack a cold one and you'll see why it's the light, refreshing taste for me. Carlsberg Light. All right. Raise a cheer for good beer.
Tough Chevy trucks are taking charge with Chevy S10, Canada's hot-selling new size pickup with standard V6 power that lets you out-tow Ford Ranger by 500 pounds and tow twice as much as any import, taking charge with the best pickup 4-cylinder and V6 gas mileage ratings. Chevy S10 pickup, maxi cabin blazer, no other trucks compare. Tough Chevy trucks are taking charge.
Heads to the sidelines. It's been a long night in the trenches. This has been a hard-hitting football game from the very outset. Lou Pasaglia hesitates and then kicks it away on third down. This is Carl Braisley. Braisley to the 25 and no more.
Braisley's done a good job for the Argos tonight, going in there for the first time. Got good, sure hands on those punt returns and has played a good game defensively.
We remember Carl, of course, from his years as an Ottawa Rough Rider. And he's back from the NFL. Happy to be here.
Well, O.B. was over there working with the defense in Ottawa, and he must know him pretty well, so he decided he'd bring him back. He has a lot of confidence in him.
2 minutes, 50 seconds remaining. Defense has the pressure now. The Argos intend to run it out. Cedric Minter to the 30 and across, met by Tyrone Cruz. Last time these two teams met, Minter had a whale of a ball game, over 100 yards. He hasn't been that evident tonight.
Well, last time they played, the BC Lions extended their ends on a containing position way outside, and they opened up the inside, and Cedric made a lot of yardage on delayed draws right off tackle and gaping holes, but I think that they anticipated that maybe the Argos would try that again, so they closed it down a little bit tonight.
It's 2nd and 5, and Minter once more. This time the Lions are there and stop them short of the first down. A gain of maybe 2. Mac Moore, number 78, to make the tackle for the Lions. So the defense holds the Argos once more, but time is very short for the BC Lions.
Well, I'm surprised that the Lions don't go for it again this time and try to block it, but they have Clausen here on the outside again, and he has come within a half a hand of blocking the last 2 punts, and I just wonder why they don't get one of those defensive backs or one of those offensive people that's got a lot of speed on the outside where he is and let him go after it.
Hankalisic at his 20. High snap, and the Lions almost through once more, but Olisic gets this one out of bounds near the 48-yard line. Mark DeBreeze was through and close to Hankalisic and blocking that punt. That's Dan Barone shaken up at center field now. Now he's off the turf under his own power.
He's been a good football player for them. Another Simon Fraser boy.
An interesting look at the Western standings. If the Lions don't pull this one off, the Calgary Stampeders at a 5-3 record would be taking a pretty good shot at first place next weekend when they play the Blue Bombers. This is Larry Jones of Jones. Maybe 7 yards that time.
Well, I don't know what they're yelling from the sidelines over there for the offense. You see Perone there resting on the sidelines. Looks like he's got a little, maybe a Charlie horse or something. He's earned his dues tonight. But I don't know why they're running the football with only 2 minutes, 1:52 and counting. They should be throwing that football if they want to get back in this game.
Tipped again to the line of scrimmage and picked up. This is Donovan Rose, and he's gone. The Toronto Argonauts have had great pressure on the BC quarterbacks tonight, but they have tipped a lot of footballs at the line of scrimmage. Franklin King tipped 2 earlier in the game, and I don't know who got that one. I know that Donovan Rose got the touchdown. That's what you call a tip drill right there. They spend a lot of time in practice going to the football on the tips. They work hours and hours on it. He looks to his left and then comes back to his right, and again the ball is tipped by a defensive lineman, and Donovan Rose very alertly catches the ball in full stride. He knows, and everybody else knows at that stage, that no one's going to catch him. And this ball game is history. And there's still 1:37 on the clock to play out. But the Lions will not be able to overcome this. Anticipating a little closer struggle tonight. The Lions got behind in the opening quarter, got close, got behind again, and they've been playing catch-up since the very beginning. 1:37 on the clock, and the Argos have all but wrapped this one up. Toronto's record would jump to 7-2, and that would be a rather healthy margin in the Eastern Division standings. Good for 14 points. And a 6-point lead on the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Tomorrow, the Tiger Cats in Edmonton to meet the Eskimos in the final game of Week 10 in Canadian football, and that will be the coaching debut of Jackie Parker as the head man with the Edmonton Eskimos. Parker, of course, a coach with these BC Lions some years ago, so it's not his first time around as a head coach in Canadian football.
I did a little thing on the radio back in Toronto about Jackie Parker for CFGM radio and got a lot of calls from the people back in Toronto that remember Jackie Parker.
Everybody remembers Jackie Parker. And CFGM radio. Sammy Green. Green, a good head of steam to the outside. Donovan Rose really made the play on Green that time. He's to the 40-yard line.
Now, when people see the score, John, it's 32-14, they're going to think that the Toronto Argonauts just completely overpowered them. Here's Green on the return. He's got the great speed. The great speed comes to the outside. But the 34-14 is a little deceiving with that Donovan Rose interception for that last touchdown. A 9-point spread would have been a lot fairer because both teams played real hard. The Argos had a great night.
Flags are down as Roy DeWalt looks long for Sammy Green. Donovan Rose was right there.
I think Sammy Green was about 2 steps down the field before the ball was snapped.
They caught him for head starting that time, didn't they?
I think he was...
Well, next week in Canadian football on Friday night, Winnipeg at Calgary. Saturday, BC at Montreal. That game on CBC television. Sunday, Toronto and Hamilton on CBC.
Decline, second down.
And the final game of the weekend is Edmonton at Saskatchewan.
Well, there's a disappointed bunch of fans in BC tonight because this game was heralded as the game that was going to indicate the best team in Canada at this juncture of the season. And it looks like the Argos.
Well, based on a record. There's no disputing that. The Argos moving to 7-2 as they play out the clock here and count up this victory. Pankratz, the intended receiver.
Well, again, we got to refer to and reflect back on, I think the biggest drive of the whole game was when the Argos were down there with the blaze at their backsides, and the crowd was on fire with all that noise, and Conrad just took them and marched the length of the field and got that touchdown. That was the turning point right there, because it could have gone in BC's favor if the Argos would have had a faint heart at that time, but they showed the class that they have by taking the ball all the way down the field.
This is 3rd and 10, Leo. The Lions are going for it.
Well, they might as well now.
Franklin King is through once more, and King has had an exceptional evening for the Toronto Argonauts. No question about that. The Argos can add points to their total now with 1:13 on the clock.
Surprised they're letting Conridge back in the ball game. As you see DeWalt going back here and taking a look downfield, there's just no place to throw the ball, and Franklin King is blocked, turns sideways, and just staggers into him for the sack.
Well, I'm sure there'll be talk here on the West Coast, Leo, about the BC Lions and the history they have of quick starts in Canadian football. They've lost 2 games in a row now. They didn't play all that well against Montreal 2 weeks ago until late in the second half. Morency straight through. Ball popped loose, and Paul Pearson came up to it, or up with it rather, but it had been whistled out.
Get Holloway out of that football game. Somebody could just at the last part of the ball game, and when he relaxes a little bit, blindside him. The game is over. Get him out of there.
On the clock, unofficially anyway, 1 minute remains.
Hi, Sal.
John, Rick.
Carling O'Keefe game stars tonight. Little question that Terry Greer offensively had an outstanding evening. And defensively, we chose Franklin King. And nobody's arguing.
Well, he just had another sensational night.
Cedric Minter wrestled down by Nelson Martin. And that leaves 40 seconds on the clock. Terry Greer, incredible stats coming into this game, and his totals even more incredible as he leaves. Greer had 1,080 yards coming in. He has at least 200 tonight. And the all-time CFL mark is 1,914 passing yards in a season held by Hal Patterson way back in 1956. Franklin King, former Calgary Stampeder, has definitely found a home with the Toronto Argonauts. Defensive star for Carling O'Keefe tonight. 3rd down and 6 to go. Hank Kalisic will try a field goal from 34 yards away.
There's no more pleasant 30 seconds in a coach's lifetime than this 30 seconds when he knows that he's won the football game. They can't take it away from him. Bob O'Billovich stands on the sideline.
Kalisic missed that one, and Crawford has it out to the 12. That leaves 8 seconds on the clock. Hank Kalisic has not been on the mark tonight.
He sure hasn't. He's got the distance, but he doesn't have the direction.
So we're down to the last play of the football game. Don Matthews in frustration on the far side of the field. We talked about the job he's done with the BC Lions, including 5 straight wins at one stage of this season. The Lion record now drops to 6-3 for 12 points, and that's just 2 ahead of Winnipeg and Calgary, who share 2nd spot in the Western Division. Stampeders have played 1 last game.
Winnipeg losing tonight doesn't help their cause. It's a big win for the Concord over in Montreal.
This is Larry Jones. And that won't quite do it. There's still 3 seconds on the clock, at least unofficially. Time for one more play at beautiful BC Place. A little emptier than it was 15 minutes ago. And a great degree of quieter.
The Argos are going to be pretty tough to beat over East. They've got balance, they've got depth.
They also have a 6-point lead in the Eastern Division standings as a result of this victory. A man most responsible for it is Conridge Holloway, and there's his partner, Terry Greer. In tandem, they were very, very close to brilliant tonight.
And an excellent job. Just can't say enough about the job that coaching staff did in preparation for this game, offensively and defensively.
One more reminder where the Lions will be next weekend at Montreal on Saturday night, and CBC Television will be there for that one. To complete the weekend, we'll be at the Hall of Fame game, Toronto and Hamilton, Sunday afternoon, as Hall of Fame inductees are honored on Saturday night. And then the Argos and the Tiger Cats, second matchup of the season. That should be a pretty good game. The Tiger Cats won the first game with the Argonauts this year. Larry Jones. And that should wrap it up. Bob Obilovich has another victory to add to his coaching record as the Argonauts move to 7-2, best record in all of Canadian football. Final score reads Toronto 32, BC 14. Back to sum up after this.
You finally found it. You knew what you had to do. You and your friends worked to see it through. To get her to fly, you had to try and make the whole plane like new. Make it a Carlsberg. Make it a Carlsberg. Make it a Carlsberg, my friend. Yeah.
In times of indecision like these, it's always best to see what the professionals use. Professionals have been using mono brand caulking for over 20 years. If it's good enough for professionals, mono will do the job for you. So when the day comes, and it will, when you need to buy caulking, buy mono, the professional choice.
Every player that I know feels good when he makes a contribution to his team. It's the same feeling you get when you give someone a helping hand. And helping hands is what United Way agencies are all about. Helping families, older people, the disabled, and many more, including our young people. I'd like you to meet Andrew. Thanks to Big Brothers, a United Way agency, he's getting a helping hand. Right, little brother?
Right.
The final score favored the Argonauts, and so did our CBC CompuStats in every category but first downs. Total yards rushing for Toronto, 80, and total passing, 323, net offense, 373. But more importantly on the scoreboard, where the Argos won their 7th game of the season, beating the BC Lions. So that's 2 in a row for the Argos of the BC Lions. And I guess at least for a couple of weeks, Leo, the Argos can say they are without a doubt best team in Canadian football.
Well, they've had a 2-week rest, and they come up big, and it's nice to be able to go home 3,000 miles with that win under your belt.
Conridge Holloway and Terry Greer, an outstanding evening as far as the Argonauts were concerned, and that was really most of the story. The BC Lions were behind at the very beginning, opening quarter, and the Argos never let them catch up. From BC Place, quite a football evening for the Argonauts. Our executive producer tonight, Bob Moyer. Our producer is John Spaulding. Football from Vancouver, directed by Ron Harrison. And our isolation director is Mo Waters. Special thanks to our entire CBC sports crew who made our telecast this evening fun and possible. Reminder, the BC Lions in Montreal next Saturday. Then on Sunday to complete our CBC weekend, Toronto at Hamilton. That's Hall of Fame weekend. Once again, the final score from BC Place in Vancouver, 32-14. Bob Obilovich over Don Matthews.
CFL 83 has been brought to you by Carling O'Keefe, brewers of OB, the Carlsberg beers, and Miller High Life. And we thank you for watching. CFL 83 has been a CBC Sports presentation.
This is CBC. This is CBC Television, Ottawa. it's time to say goodnight. For the past 18 hours, CBOT has brought you telecasts from the nationwide network service of the CBC and from our Ottawa studios, programs reflecting the life and affairs of the communities we serve. The variety of CBC television, entertainment, news, information, and informed comment covers the widest range of tastes and interests. A reminder, too, of the fine listening that awaits you daily on CBC Radio in Ottawa, CBO 920 on your dial, and our frequency modulation station, CBO FM, broadcasting in stereo at 103.3 megahertz. From all of us at CBC Ottawa, good night and good morning.